There we go.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Hi, Jessica. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you? I love that background. It's so fun.
Yes. Thank you so much for appreciating that one. And it's really great to have you. Thank you so much for joining and uh, being with me.
Sure. Happy to.
Yeah, yes. Because I should appreciate your positive response.
Uh-huh.
Uh, Okay, okay. What about the weather over there, Jessica?
Oh, it's still pretty nice. It's starting to feel like fall, but I think it was 70 degrees today, so I can't complain about that.
Okay, okay, fine, fine. So, shall we start, Jessica?
Sure, yeah.
Just could you give a brief introduction, please?
Sure. I'm a storytelling and communication coach, and I primarily help designers who are job searching to improve the way they tell their stories in their portfolios and during presentations and interviews so that they can talk about their work more confidently and succeed faster.
Okay, great, great to know. Actually, invited you, I approached you. The biggest reason behind it, only this storytelling. It is
Oh, okay.
really so fascinating, when I visited your profile and you mentioned over there that with the help of storytelling, you are helping to your student. So I have just few questions. You will enjoy this session.
Uh-huh.
So I'm really very curious to know, Jessica, that how did you become interested in that particular method in storytelling, and you are using it like a tool.
Yeah, my background is also teaching English,
Yes.
and when the pandemic started, I was trying to get more students and clients,
Mhm.
and I realized that there were a lot of I primarily work with artists and designers because that's my background, and I realized that there were a lot of organizations looking for online speakers for events. Everybody wanted virtual events
Mhm.
during COVID, and so I gave a couple of workshops
Wow.
about how to talk about your work, and
Mhm.
I was approaching it more from a language
Mhm.
perspective. I was talking about it as like, the language in your
Mhm.
portfolio or portfolio writing. And then I realized through giving those workshops that storytelling was sort of the hot word that everybody was looking for.
Mhm.
And, essentially it's kind of the same thing. It's, just the way that you present yourself, the way you
Yes.
talk about yourself, but using stories to do it, to make it more interesting and engaging and to connect with your audience.
Mhm.
And so once I kind of realized that that's the part people were looking for, I
Mhm.
just kind of shifted my focus
Mhm.
to help people, because a lot of people struggle specifically with that aspect. Their stories are very much like a list of facts, and it's not
Mhm.
very engaging for the audience.
Mhm. Right, right. So, do you feel that it could be a biggest, or I would say so powerful tool and method if any person, any learner wants to enhance their language learning? So, do you believe it?
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, because we all love stories, right? I
Yes.
mean, even, if it's in a work context, if it's in a personal context, I use a lot of storytelling in my personal life too. I have little nieces and nephews, and
Yes.
I play role-playing games where we use a
Mhm.
lot of storytelling. So, I
Mhm.
feel like it works
Mhm.
everywhere.
Mhm.
But especially, if you're shy and
Mhm.
you have talking about your work or you have trouble meeting people,
Yes.
using stories is a really great way to make those connections because we're all wired to
Mhm.
appreciate storytelling and we all love listening to stories.
Oh, great. So there is one thing, sometimes I tend to conduct my sessions accordingly, like weekly. Every day I tend to do some different kinds of activity, not a single activity. I
Mhm.
always try to give a change during my session. So
Uh-huh.
what I realized personally, sometimes my student they face some kind of issues. Okay, sometimes we need to use present, sometimes past. So
Mhm.
it becomes so complicated sometimes.
Uh-huh.
So how to manage all these situation while explaining a story? Whoever who wants to enhance their language learning with the help of a story. So what would be your tips for that?
Yeah, well, especially with something like learning tenses. Stories are the perfect way because we naturally, when we're telling a story,
Yes.
we're shifting tenses, the past and the present and the future. And so, it's a great way to make an activity more interesting by having, I encourage my students to tell stories about their own life or, think about what they want to be doing, their dreams. And, that's a great way to make it kind of fun and engaging and personal instead of just like, oh, I have to do this homework or, I have to do this writing assignment. It
Mhm.
makes it a lot more engaging, I think.
Yes, yes, it's true. So, how do you tailor your story telling techniques?
Well, um, so like I said, right now I'm working with a lot of designers.
Yes.
And so the biggest thing that I think a lot of them are missing when
Mm-hmm.
they tell their stories, especially in about work,
Mm-hmm.
is kind of what makes them unique.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people, when they're nervous,
Yes.
and a lot of us feel nervous talking about ourselves, they
Mm-hmm.
want to they want to sort of please everyone. They don't want to do anything to stand out. They want to
Mm-hmm.
just kind of say the things that they think everyone will like. And the problem with that is then your story is kind of boring. What makes us unique is what makes us interesting, and that's what catches people's attention. And
Yeah.
if you're trying to get a job, you do kind of want to stand out. And so, or if you're presenting for a meeting or anything, you kind of want to show what makes you special.
Mm-hmm.
And so encouraging people to kind of look at their story and think about what are
Mm-hmm.
you good at
Yes.
more so than all the other people who are
Mm-hmm.
trying to do the same thing as you, more than your teammates or more than the other people applying for this job, what makes you really stand out or what are you really passionate about doing,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of build your story around that so that you're memorable and so
Mm-hmm.
that your audience connects with you and understands sort of the value that you can bring to,
Yes.
whatever they need.
Yeah, definitely, Jessica. And I feel by storytelling activity, like 15 minutes are enough, according to you. Like every day, if you like, first, let's talk about a homemaker. The life is
Mhm.
so busy, right? As a mother, I can relate the life of a mother. So
Uh,
we have intensive work at home. So 15 minutes, just I'm asking so that it can make learners' journey very easy. If they
mhm.
want in the morning or in the evening, at per their convenience. So 15 minutes for storytelling every day if they want to devote. So will it work for them?
I think so. I mean, any time that you spend, is
Mhm.
especially cultivating a daily practice, that's
Yes.
probably more important than how much time you spend if you can do
Mhm.
it every day,
Mhm.
especially if you're working on something, like you said with if you're working on grammar points or verb tenses or
Yes.
something, doing it every day will really help you remember those rules. And
Yes.
keeping a journal, even if you're writing about what you did that day or the highlights of your day or your
Yes.
plans for tomorrow, it's a really easy way to incorporate some
Mhm.
of those language learning
Mhm.
opportunities
Mhm.
into a daily practice so you keep
Mhm.
them fresh.
Yes, because sometimes it becomes so difficult for a learner that how to start, how to make a strategy, kind
Yeah.
of a thing, because there are so many things to do. We need to cover, we need to correct our pronunciation, we need to correct our grammar, and the clarity of the sentence, the right formation of the sentence. There are so
Yeah,
many things to do. And
it
during
is a
this
lot.
journey, yeah, so, and during this journey, sometimes student they get demotivated.
Yes.
Yeah, so how to keep them motivated during this journey, Jessica? It is also the part of learning, I believe.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I think there again, that's where storytelling can help because we
uh,
are more engaged with stories. So if you can help your students focus on something that's important to them, a story or something that's interesting,
mhm.
something they're passionate about, or like I said, their day, if it is someone who's at home, maybe something about their kids or their
Yes.
plans, if it's something the person is personally engaged in, they're going to be a lot more likely to want to do it than if it's something
Mhm.
just like, oh, I just have to do this assignment because my teacher gave it to me. That's
Yes.
no one's going to be very invested in that. So, using stories to make the lessons more personal and engaging, I think always helps.
Mhm. Mhm. Thank you so much for this beautiful answer, I would say, Jessica. So, would you like to recommend any book? Like, it is there. I can see that if it comes to storytelling activity, we can relate any person's life. If we want, we can write it down on a paper. It could be related to your personal life or others as well, related to your friend, related to your family members. Any story you can write it down
I
to
think so,
do,
yeah.
yeah, to express your feelings. But additionally, I want to know any particular book or specific book and something like that source of information.
Hmm. I'm just thinking what would be good.
It would be really so beneficial for our audience, whoever is watching that particular, because sometimes we feel okay, we are ready to start this journey with the help of storytelling or maybe movie. It could be anything, any activity, but we get confused. Okay, which one is good? Where to start? If my level is beginner, my level is intermediate, B1,
Mhm.
B2. Levels are different, and that's why it is very difficult to choose a particular thing. Okay, this book I can understand or not. This is storytelling. What about the language?
Yeah, well, and that's why it's maybe hard to pick one because, it kind of depends on the audience or,
Uh-huh.
kind of depends on the student. But what I usually suggest to people is just, if there's a book you're looking at or a movie or
Mhm.
something, just flip open to a page and see if it's easy to read because when it comes to level, you don't want to pick something that you really have to work hard because
Yes,
then you're going to lose the story and it's not going to be fun.
yes,
So, if it's got a few new words or a few challenging pieces of grammar, then that's probably the right level. If you can read it pretty quickly and easily and actually enjoy it, that's going to be a lot more beneficial. I know some people think, oh, I'm going to choose a really difficult book because I'm going to learn so much, but
Mhm.
probably you won't even read it because it's too hard.
Yes.
And the same thing with a movie, like choosing something that you'll actually enjoy and
Mhm.
something that the plot is maybe not too difficult so you can enjoy
Yes,
it and kind of guess what's happening, if you watch the subtitles or you don't, if it's something really complicated and difficult,
yes.
it's probably not going to be fun, and it's if you're enjoying yourself you're going to learn so much more.
And I think it will decrease your confidence level as well.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah, so I think don't go with the complicated things. Whatever is easier for you, just choose that one initially. If your
Yeah.
stage is like if your level is beginner, and after that, inch by inch, you can increase your level, you can see an improvement, you can evaluate your speaking and understanding with this
Mhm.
language. Okay, now I am able to understand, so I can choose this particular book because I'm ready to understand. I can form the sentence in a beautiful manner. Otherwise,
Yeah.
there is no point to choose this kind of complicated books and whatever activities are there related to it. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I
Okay.
agree.
Yes. Thank you so much. So, as a coach, Jessica, what are some common challenges that you observed till now, most of the time, student they face?
Well, um probably one of the biggest challenges is that my students get really overwhelmed by the process because job searching is difficult. And,
For
just like
sure.
with language learning, it's a long process
Very
and
long.
there's so
Yeah.
much work you have to do. And so it just becomes really overwhelming. And especially if you try to give them too much information all at once, people are going to get frustrated and not be able to do anything. So,
Yeah.
one of the things that I try to help my clients with is to sort of look at your goal and then break it into small, manageable pieces and not try to take on too much at once. And
Yes.
just, check in regularly and be like, okay, well, so here's the plan for this week.
Yes.
Don't worry too much if if you're not as far as you would like to be, how much
Mhm.
can you do this week and focus on that? Because, if you do a little every day or every week, you're
Yes.
going to reach your goal. Whereas if you try to take on too much and you get overwhelmed and then you just quit, well, then that's
Yes.
no good.
Thank you. Thank you so much for mentioning this strong statement. It's very true, Jessica, because I have seen in the market in India, everywhere, I think, it might be there that people tend to say like this, okay, within 30 days, 15 days, we can do. And in
Uh,
every video, I always want to mention that part. And you mentioned even that it is a long process. So you need to believe in the process, I think, and just go with the flow without worrying too much about it. Don't take
yeah,
so much pressure in your head.
yeah, I
Just
think
try
so.
to, yeah, you can segregate the things. Okay, one day I will cover this, second day this one, and you can see an improvement. To be
Mhm.
proficient in this language, it takes time. It's a
Right.
long process, maybe 6 months, 1 year. As a tutor, I can feel always, okay, every day I need to learn something new,
Hmm.
maybe some new expression, new
Hmm.
idiomatic expression or phrasal verb. There are so many things to learn. So we
There are.
can't cover everything within 30 days and 60 days.
Right. Yeah, I agree. You just have to sort of think about what's most important to you and yeah, set those like small, manageable steps.
Yes, smart goal we can say, and short goal that you can
Exactly.
achieve. You can achieve,
Mhm.
okay, this is my target. I want to correct my past tense first because I'm making a few errors. So just to
Mhm.
cover that one within a week or 4 days, 5 days, try to understand. And after that, that present, if you are making errors related to present while describing something, so just try to cover that one. That is also my process. I follow the same method, okay, one by one. Don't worry about anything else.
Yes. One step at a time.
Yes, yes. And it will take time. It's very crystal clear. It's very transparent nowadays that we should understand that language learning is a long process. Every
Hmm.
day you need to put little bit efforts, and you next after a couple of days you can see an improvement in your speaking. Because since
Yes.
our childhood days, actually, we are speaking in our mother tongue.
Hmm.
So,
Exactly.
so definitely
Takes a
it is,
long time.
yeah. Okay, so how do you address or overcome any kind of challenges if you have as a coach? Because I feel sometimes, okay, how to make my student aware of it, how to make them understand. It is not going to happen within 30 days, 60 days, especially who is working professional.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the thing is, both when I was a classroom teacher and with my coaching practice,
Mhm,
where I'm always trying to find new ways to help my students and clients. And if something doesn't work,
mhm.
I always try to get feedback, why didn't it work?
Yes,
Because it's very easy to blame someone
yes,
else, easy to blame my students,
yes,
but in reality, it's my job as the coach or the teacher to
yes,
make it accessible. If people don't have time, like, okay, I understand you don't have time, so I need to like adjust my expectations maybe about what's attainable. Because
wow,
like you said, for working professionals, if you're a student in school, you have a deadline you have to meet to
yes,
graduate, that or to pass, that's one thing. But, for busy working people, you kind of have to be flexible and,
yes.
understand life circumstances, get in the way. So I think for me, I always try to get a lot of feedback
Mhm.
when something isn't working and figure out, okay, well, how can I present this in a different way or try something else that might work better for my clients?
Yes, and I feel, Jessica, if you agree, please let me know that I feel as a teacher always, you need to be a good counselor. You need to understand every emotions of your student, whatever they are feeling during this journey, because somewhere directly or indirectly, whatever you feel like, they are depending on you during this journey, right? Entire, yeah, during this journey they are feeling, okay, only this person can help me out. I can
Yeah.
overcome this situation, the fear of language learning. I'm able or not
Yeah.
to learn this language. I will be speaking in English in future or not. Is it possible for me or not? So I
Yeah.
would say uncountable thoughts sometimes linger in our mind during learning journey, whatever it is. It's not all about language learning. Whatever,
Yeah.
if something is new for us, whatever, like
Mm.
in the kitchen even. If something,
Yeah.
any dish is very new to me or for you as well, so we feel, okay, how
Mhm.
to do that, how to start, what kinds of ingredient I need to use, the measurement, different aspects of it. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
I use that as an example too, because I didn't learn how to cook until I was in my 30s.
Oh,
And I remember in the beginning I was really frustrated. I wanted a quick and
yes.
easy solution, and there isn't one. I had to just put in the time and make a lot of mistakes to get good
Yes.
at it. And
Yes.
so I try to apply that to other parts of my life when I'm like, oh, this is taking too long, and certainly with language learning, it's the same thing. There's no shortcut. You have to just put in the time and be willing to make mistakes, and that's how you learn.
Yes, yes, yes. And sometimes when you said this word mistake, some people, they have this kind of fear to make mistake. And that's why they don't want to speak in front of somebody at their workplace and anywhere. If I make
Yeah.
mistake, then what? So I
Yeah.
think you need to make a mistake, you
Yep.
know. Let's talk
True.
about cooking. Now I am aware of it, that the measurement of different ingredients, how to prepare rice around chapati and so on, but it
Hmm.
takes time. Initially it was really so challenging, especially in the case of salt. So it happens. So now everything is perfect. Okay, I know how
Hmm.
much salt I need to add it on in any particular
Hmm.
dish while making vegetable and any dishes is spicy and something like that. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
okay,
Yeah,
so thank
it's
you
a good
so much.
analogy.
Yeah, so Jessica, this question is very personal, I would say. All these questions were there in my mind before starting this session. So now I'm really so curious to know about your hobbies. What do you do in your free time and in spare time, Jessica?
Oh, well, I love to get outside. So, I live in California, so I'm lucky that there are a lot of beautiful places to go.
Wow. Mhm,
I like to go hiking and see the outdoors. I do like cooking and I like eating new foods.
mhm.
Whenever I get the chance to
Wow,
travel, I love trying different foods. And,
great.
again, in my area, there are a lot of delicious different ethnic foods
Mhm,
available. So that's really fun.
mhm,
And I love meeting people. Even though I work from home now, I love getting out and meeting people
mhm,
at events and, connecting with new people online because, yeah, I feel like the social aspect of, working from home
mhm.
sometimes is a little difficult. So it's always nice to get the chance to connect with people.
Yes, great, great. So are you planning? Because somewhere I have a plan in my mind. Maybe in future I will open my offline institute. So is there anything in your mind, or are you comfortable with the online sessions?
I'm pretty comfortable with it just because it gives me the flexibility to travel, and
Yeah.
that's something I really love to do. And eventually, I may move back closer to my parents, and so I just want to have that flexibility. But
Yes.
when I do get the chance to do, I have done some in-person workshops again in the last year or so, and
Mhm.
that's always really fun. I love making those connections or hosting events, meetup events, that kind of stuff. So
Wow.
I definitely love doing those types of things, but probably in terms of coaching, I'll keep it online just so that I have that flexibility for my schedule.
Okay, 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 Jessica. One more question, actually, it is related to me. I'm preparing for an examination to crack C1
Mhm.
level, actually, maybe after 1 month I'm planning, and I'm preparing myself accordingly so that in this month and maybe December, I can prepare. And in the month of January, I will give this examination for C1 level. So any
Mhm.
kind of tip you want to share with me? Because as a teacher, I always, whenever I invite somebody, I conduct a
Uh-huh.
session, I always try to learn something because
Yeah,
every person has their own method and methodology.
that's
So,
true.
yeah.
Well, I would say just, kind of like what we were talking about, finding some little practice that you can do every
Yes.
day to
Yes.
break it up so it doesn't feel too overwhelming because when you
Mhm.
have a long-term goal, it's
Yes.
a month and a half away still,
Yes.
it's easy to want to procrastinate or to,
Mhm.
probably try to do a lot at once. And, if you do a little bit every day, you'll probably retain it better than if
Yes.
you try to cram too much in, to study at once or to practice at once.
Yes. Just in my case, I want to tell you, Jessica, just I'm trying to enjoy this process. And I love to
Yes,
do. Like
a good
every day,
idea.
yeah, inch by inch, I can see a kind of a progress in my speaking, in my teaching skills. And as a teacher, I always try to filter my teaching skills as well by the time. It should be
Hmm.
like that, I believe. We need to filter and try to upgrade ourselves
Hmm.
always, isn't it?
Yeah. And if you can do a little bit every day, then it becomes a positive habit instead of like feeling like a chore.
Yes, Jessica, and I always feel if you are ready to put your efforts towards something, to accomplish something, so
Hmm.
definitely your hard work will pay off in spades very soon. And maybe it will take a bit time, but it will definitely going to pay off for you.
Yes, I
Yeah.
hope so.
Yeah, so thank you so much for your positive answer, for actively participating in the conversation. It's really so fascinating for me. Jessica, if you want to ask anything, you can go ahead, please, before wind up the session.
Well, I guess I'm just curious to know more about your students and learners. What do you think they're, since you're so interested in storytelling, what do you think they could benefit from most when it comes to storytelling?
So when it comes to storytelling, what I personally realized when weekly, once in a week, I conduct my session on the basis of storytelling. I
Hmm.
always give them a task. Okay, you need to prepare a story and you need to describe it during the session. And I will ask you for questions. And
Hmm.
during this activity, I can correct your pronunciation. I can
Hmm.
see how you are going to describe. I can feel connected or not. There are so many aspects. So I tend to do this kind of activity. And what I feel that tenses, present and past, sometimes it happens. If the story is related to past, then it is little bit easy. But sometimes it happens, we tend to use in between present tense as well.
That's
So
true.
that is a thing. But yeah, I have a strong belief within 1 week or 10 days of practice of
Hmm.
storytelling, they can very easily overcome this problem of grammar errors.
That's
That
great.
is the thing. Yeah.
And it's probably fun too.
Yes, actually, there are so many stories. And I think nowadays we are so blessed, Jessica, because contents are available on social media everywhere. If you are a
True.
person who likes to watch Barbie stories and
Uh-huh.
something else, whatever you
Hmm.
feel like, you can watch that particular video on YouTube channel. And
Hmm.
if you don't want to invest even 15 minutes for a story, so nowadays everywhere people are sharing very short kind of reels. Okay.
Yep.
And within only 1 minute, by spending only 1 minute, you can learn a new word.
It's true.
You can learn that how to construct a particular sentence.
Hmm.
That is the thing. You can learn a new expression, that how to use it, a new phrasal verb. If you're targeting that C1 level, that is
Hmm.
my belief. I feel so, Jessica.
I think you're right.
Anything you want to add on over here?
No, I guess just if or give your students the opportunity to share their stories with each other, but that might be a
Yes.
fun thing to try as well, because I know
Mhm.
at least when I was in the classroom, my students really got into sharing feedback with each other and giving each other
Mhm.
ideas and learning about each other.
Yes.
And, kind of like you said with social media,
Mhm.
just opens a whole world of, connecting with so
Yes.
many people. So yeah,
Yeah.
I love finding new ways to use technology to help people learn in new ways.
LinkedIn. And I'm feeling, yes, one of the best application. I like to read few articles over there. These articles
Hmm.
are really so knowledgeable, interesting.
Yeah,
Whenever I
first.
get the time, free time in my spare time, I love to read actually. In the like, if let's talk about the Instagram account and Facebook. I think
Hmm.
LinkedIn is the best for me, and that's
Yes.
why I can connect with you and with many,
Yes.
and these
Yeah,
people
it's a
are
great place.
reading. Yes,
Hmm. Yeah. A lot of good stories there for sure.
yes, yes. So thank you so much, Jessica. Hope you enjoyed this session with me.
I did. Thank you for